How to inflate a bicycle tire with a Schrader valve, also known as a regular valve. First, determine that the tire needs inflation. To do this, check the side of the tire and read the recommended range of inflation. If you are uncertain what pressure you want, then it is generally best to choose somewhere in the middle of the recommended range. For example, if the tire reads 50 to 80 psi, then somewhere close to 65 psi will work well for most applications. Checking the pressure can be done by using a tire gauge, attaching a pump with a built-in gauge, or simply by squeezing it. If you can easily deform the tire by squeezing it, then it likely needs to be inflated. Next, look at the valve and make sure that it is straight, as in perpendicular to the tire and fully extended out from the rim. If it is not, then begin by letting most of the air out of the tire. Gently wiggle the valve and the tire so that the valve is in the correct position. Older tires or tires with a tight bead may become stuck to the rim and need to be pressed inwards as shown to break the bead. Now it is time to begin inflating the tire. Begin by removing the valve cap. Next, rotate the tire so that the valve is at the top. This is for safety so that in case the tire fails, then your face is not next to it if it explodes. It is recommended to use a bicycle pump with a built-in gauge to indicate the pressure as you inflate the tire. Begin inflation by gently applying sideways pressure to the valve so that as you press the chuck onto it, the valve does not get pushed into the tire. Then flip the lever to lock it in place. Note that some chucks lock in the outward position while others lock in the downward position. Also note that some chucks have two different hole sizes. For a Schrader valve, use the larger of the two. Pumps have several different chuck styles that attach in different ways. Please refer to the pump manufacturer on how to operate the specific pump that you have. Most common pumps have a flip style chuck. Now it is time to pump. Start by applying 4 to 6 pumps to ensure that the chuck is correctly attached and air is entering the inner tube. Also, at this point, it is very important to ensure that the bead of the tire is inside the rim. Ultimately, it should be even all the way around on both sides of the tire. If the bead is too high, simply push the tire down into the rim. Do not continue pumping if the bead is too high. The tire could blow off the rim and the inner tube can explode. If this is too difficult, you can let some air out to make it easier. If the bead is too low, you can proceed pumping. Usually the tire will seat itself as the pressure rises. Continue pumping and checking the bead of the tire intermittently as you approach your desired pressure. If you have reached your desired pressure and the bead still has not moved up into position, you can keep pumping until you reach the tire's maximum recommended PSI. Do not exceed this pressure. And remember to reduce the pressure back to the desired PSI when you are finished. If the tire bead still is not seated properly, use the palm of your hands to force it into place. If the tire bead is still not seated properly, let most of the air out and begin again. Now it is time to remove the pump. Begin by flipping the chuck lever to the open position and pull straight off, being careful to avoid bending or pulling too hard on the valve. And then reinstall the valve cap. Congratulations! The tire should now be properly inflated.